Hi ladies and gentlemen. Okay, this is the last video I'm going to be recording for today. What I'm going to be talking about now is endothermic versus exothermic graphs. Now, much like the previous video I recorded where I spoke a little bit about taking a car ride and blowing a tire, I do like to use an example here that is unrelated but can draw parallels to the graph. Sometimes it helps students make a correlation and understand a little bit better. I know it did work in my class. So here, let's say, for example, you are investing money to purchase, or investing money in a business. Okay, I used the Big Bang Theory Penny Blossom episode where Penny wanted to make penny blossoms. So what she did was she invested some money in purchasing the raw materials, okay, to make penny blossoms. So let's say this is the amount of money Penny spent to make her penny blossoms. Well, she sold this much money in penny blossoms. Well, in selling that much money in penny blossoms, she made a bit of a profit, but she had to deduct what she invested to find out what her total profit was. So although she made this much money, this here is her actual profit margin because she had to take into consideration how much money she put in before she started to make money. Okay, so in this particular case, hopefully this parallel will work for you. We're looking at energy levels of reactants and products. So this particular reactant, or this set of reactants here, they're sitting at this potential energy level. Okay? So as these reactants need to undergo a chemical change, what they're going to do is they're going to absorb energy from the environment in order to reach that point that they need to reach to undergo a chemical reaction. So the energy that they're absorbing in order to reach that point where they begin to react is called an activation energy. Okay? So in this particular scenario, they've absorbed this much, okay, and began to undergo a chemical reaction, and as a result, released this much energy. So your products are left at the end of the reaction with only this much potential energy. Okay, this much energy was released, but when you look at the net energy of the system, the net energy is the total energy released minus the initial activation energy that was absorbed. So this here is the net energy released. Okay, this type of reaction is an exothermic reaction. And it is an exothermic reaction because the system released energy and that test tube in your hand would feel hot. Okay? So if this reaction happened very slowly, initially you would feel a little bit of cold in the test tube as it's absorbing energy. Once it hits the activation point, then the test tube would begin to feel warm as it begins to release the energy, get back to the point where it started, and then continue to release energy, making the test tube feel hotter and hotter. Okay, usually it happens so fast that you don't even notice this part. All right, now in this particular case, what I likened it to is this business owner invested a lot of money in the business, but only made this much money. Well, clearly they invested a lot more than they made back. So this represents their net loss, okay? In this case, you have reactants that have to put in a lot of energy. They have to pull a lot of energy from the environment in order to reach the point for the activation energy, okay? But the products are left at this point, which means all of this net energy left over is the energy that is absorbed, okay? So since this energy is being absorbed, it's removing energy from the environment. If you were holding this test tube in your hand, okay, the test tube would feel cold. And that's because since it's removing energy from the environment, it's leaving the environment around the test tube colder than it was when the reaction started. So this is an endothermic reaction. Now, the way I like to remember endothermic versus exothermic, endo, enter, exo, exit. Energy exits the system, energy enters the system. So I hope this helped you understand a little bit about endo and exothermic reactions and what happens during an endo and exothermic reaction and what an activation energy is. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop me a line and I'll be sure to get back to you. Take care.